this, and then hopefully it records nicely. Sick. Let's do this. Yeah, thank you, Casey. Thank you, Casey. All right. Shall we wait or just kick it off? We got 4. You know what? Honestly, I'm gonna do this. I'm recording it as currently right now. No need to stress. I hope everyone's having a great day. What's good, gamers? My name is Dr. Ryan Terao, PsychSensei. I'm super stoked to be here to talk about one of my favorite topics, stress, and how it makes it stupid. Makes you stupid. Today, we're going to be talking about the psychology of stress, how stress affects you and your performance, all these kinds of things. And just to let you guys know, I'll be intermixing stress, fear, anxiety. They're all the same. They're kissing cousins. But don't worry, I'll be talking a little bit more about them as we continue this presentation. If you want to hang out with me, please follow me on YouTube on PsychSensei, or if you want to follow me on X, the PsychSensei, or I believe you can also find me on TikTok. I try to post there at least once a day. So follow me there, or hang out with me here in Neuroptima. Send me a DM on Discord or whatever. I'd love to help you deal with your stress or whatever you're dealing with in game. Please, I'm missing working with gamers and talking gaming. So if I can help you at all, even if it's for a good time, you let me know. All right, so here's some things about me. I've been around the scene for a little bit. I've worked all the way from amateurs, collegiate, tier 2, all the way to tier 1, and a lot of different titles and a lot of different teams. I think for Neuroptima, with the FPSs, I've worked in Valorant, I've worked in Call of Duty. I've worked in CSGO and CS2 with some of the teams that you've seen here. So maybe, you know, just seen a lot of stuff, had a lot of fun. So hopefully I can help you. All right. Today's win conditions are simple. I want to help you understand the psychology of stress. Number 2, I want you to help build your awareness of stress and the stress systems that you have. And yes, stress is a system. And number 3, I want to help you learn to better manage your stress and its effects in and out of game. If I can do that, that'd be awesome, because stress is not just in-game stuff, but my hypothesis is that you probably manage and deal with your stress in-game kind of similar to how you do it outside of game. And so we're just using gaming as a fun place to practice stress management. All right, so as always, I love to start these discussions with players or people with some moments of insight. And so just for you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like, meh, and 10 being like, yeah. So 1 making you, what does it make you freeze? To 10 making it, it makes you move, it makes you really active. What does stress make you do in the levels of action or inaction? So for example, if it's like a 1, 2, 3, I don't want to do anything. I freeze. I don't want to play. I don't want to watch VODs. I don't want to talk to people about gaming or anything. It makes me stop doing the thing. Where on the other hand, if it's like a 7, 8, 9, 10, stress makes you move. It makes you want to play more games. It makes you more motivated to review your games. It makes you more motivated to play DMs or what have you. So for you, what does stress make you do? And the reason I like to start with some of these questions is I really want to make sure that you understand how stress affects you and your perceptions of stress. 2 to 3, yup. 10 most active, yes. Does it make you move? Does stress make you move and do stuff? Because hopefully through this conversation also we can reconceptualize your understanding of stress and just hopefully help you understand what stress makes you do, how stress makes you feel, and then what can we do with it. Because from a different perspective, stress is a resource and we just need to manage it a little bit more effectively, or understand how it negatively affects us so we can do something about it, or if it helps us do something, how we can actually harness it to make us do exactly what we want. 10. Overthinking mode makes me hyperfixate. That's some good insight, bruh. I get the feeling of I have to move, but so 10 and 1 both. Yeah, you know, sometimes it can make you feel like you need to move. At the same time, it can make you move so much that you just freeze because you get tired, you get overwhelmed and burnt out and just die, right? So this is just a scale or a range for all of you to think about. So for some insight. Yo, what's good, Julian? Welcome, baby. Thank you for helping me and reminding me to send you the slides. Hopefully, this works. All right. Now, a different scale. On a scale of positive versus negative, how does stress make you think? Okay. So, one, more negative thinking. Does it make you focus on the mistakes? Does it make you focus on the oh no-ness? I choked this shot, or I just died in this clutch, or like I should be playing better, or at the same time, does it make you focus on the things that you don't want to happen? Or what if I die in this situation? What if I miss in this situation? What are my teammates gonna say? How am I gonna look? All these kinds of things. On the other side, if it's like 10, more positive, does stress help you focus your attention on the things that you want to do? Does it help you hyperfixate on, your crosshair, your placement, your positioning? Does it force you to think about the things that you want to happen or the next thing that you want to do? Do you see stress helping you think of things as like a challenge or things that you can do? Does it help you refocus and remanage your resources on what's important while dropping the things that are distracting? Depends. Stress in the middle of games can create a bit of an adrenaline spike. Oh yeah, baby. I used to lock in best when I was super jittery in FPS/tac shooters. That's good. I want you to keep that in mind. I want you to keep in that adrenaline spike in mind and the jitteriness, the physical sensations of stress I want you to keep that in your mind. Ooh, 100%. Ooh, the shutting down. Okay, another thing to think about also is how this first scale, excuse me, burping, how the first scale and the second scale coincide with each other, right? So for example, if it makes you freeze, does it also make you think more negative? Or if it makes you move, does it also make you think more positive? So we have a positive correlation with both. At the same time, interestingly, is a correlation negative? So for example, if it makes me freeze, does it then make me start thinking more positively because I can have time to think about stuff? Or if it makes you move, does it make you move in a more negative direction? So are they negatively correlated with each other? These are some thoughts, some insight just for you to think about. All right. This last scale I really want you to think about is on a scale of past and future. So where the stress is focused. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, does the stress make you focus on things in the past? The shoulda, coulda, wouldas, the oh no's, the why didn't I's, the mistakes, the regrets, Scotty P, the regrets of things. Where does it focus? So like more past focused. Or does it make you focus more on the future, the possibilities, the creativity, the things I kind of want to do into the future? Like where are your thoughts focused? And yes, you can have that snap. Oh, damn, that sucked. But then after that, does it stay there? Does it move? Where is the direction, past, future of your stress, anxiety, fear? Example, like if I die and stress spikes, my immediate thought is typically anxiety for how I mess up, overthinking on how I could fix it. Ooh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. I like that. Future, but more like getting ready to peak and die. Peak and die or peak and kill, bro. And all these things today, hopefully we can go over some reframes or just different ways of thinking about your stress, and so you can use them, right? It's just, hopefully I can communicate and teach you today that stress is a tool that we can use. 5, kind of depends on the snowball effect for me. Good insight. Was playing bad pre, that last round messed me up. Leans more towards 3 and vice versa, probably closer to 8. Ooh, because you got some recency bias here. And saying like how previous rounds are going or how I'm feeling and how that affects me to the future. Love that. In any game, it's a 3. IRL, 8. Oh, that is fascinating because why in game would it be a 3, but then IRL, an 8? And then if it's more helpful as an 8, how could we leverage that in either scenario? Interesting. Cool insights. Okay. So before we continue about stress, let's talk about where esports lives, where gaming lives. All right, I want you to take your hand. I want you to go like half your head. Okay, right above your eyebrows, right here, baby. These are your frontal lobes. This is where critical thinking, stress management, emotion regulation, planning, all these kinds of things live. You know, all the things that are super important for you to use and leverage in your games. All right, fun facts about this. This structure right here is the last one to fully develop. It fully develops when you're about 25 years old. The fun fact that you can remember this is to rent a car, it's actually more expensive for people under 25 to rent cars. Why? Insurance agencies have done research and found that people under 25 actually get into more accidents than people over 25. Why? Because this structure is more mature. Okay, if you're under 25, give yourself a pat on the back, especially if you climb the ranks, because you did that shit without a fully functioning brain. You're like low-key half-cooked or half-baked, but you're still able to do those things. All right, so hats off to you. That's amazing. But why I really want to point this out is because if you really think about gaming, esports, life, the game within the game is how long can you keep that frontal lobes locked and engaged? Can you keep it locked and engaged more often or longer or more efficiently than the other team? That's it. That's the entire game. And what I think is really cool is when you think of it from that perspective, think about your game, think of like Call of Duty and the pace of that game and how fast your frontal lobes need to be moving versus like Valorant or CS2 where you have a small little minute and a half, minute 40 sprint and then a minute break and then a minute sprint and a minute break. And then how many sprints and breaks are you doing over how many games you're playing, right? So from that perspective, we're playing an energy resource game. We're playing a frontal lobe management game, right? So again, keeping this online for longer. Now, where does stress, anxiety, fear live? All right, and also think of like, okay, take your two fingers, okay, like put it like in the like right above your temple, like inside your brain, like in the middle. Okay, there's these small little structures right there called the amygdalas. Teeny tiny, right here, this teeny tiny structure right here, right? This thing, although tiny, because size, you know, it's about efficiency, lol. These little structures are super duper important because this structure alone has probably kept us alive as a species. And why do I say that? Well, it's required for flight, fight, freeze, and the other F that's wink wink. But those things alone has allowed us to stay alive, right? Are we going to fight the thing? Are we going to run away from the thing? Are we going to freeze and it's not going to see us, right? This has helped keep our species alive and reproducing for eons, okay? Amazing structure. At the same time, look at the size of that structure versus the size of this structure, okay? Isn't it amazing that even though this huge structure in our brain, dedicated to higher order level thinking, is actually controlled by this one? Let me explain. Once this amygdala gets kicked on thinking and we utilize those reactions, flight, fight, freeze, it shuts down your frontal lobes. It's no longer using these bad boys about how to process information. All it's literally thinking about is, how am I going to live? That's it. Flat out, period. Why biology? You need that. Why? Because listen, if the Tyrannosaurus Rex is chasing you down, you don't really need to think, I feel sad about the Tyrannosaurus Rex, or did I sharpen my spear this morning? No, you're thinking, holy fuck, the the dinosaur's chasing me. I need to get away from the dinosaur. That's it. That's it. All right. Here's the thing, though. Your brain cannot discern the difference between actual death and perceived death. Okay, why that's important is because think about the games that you're playing. You are playing a game surrounded by death. If I shoot and expose myself in the open, I will die. And that your brain is thinking death. Or have you ever experienced that heightened sense of awareness where you're in a clutch situation and there's 5 people coming from 5 different angles? You're thinking about death and where it could approach from. That is amygdala thinking, moving really quickly to keep you alive, right? And another fun fact, if you want to know, pain is pain, emotional pain is physical pain, and vice versa. It's all interpreted in the same part of the brain. That's why when you take opiates, it reduces pain everywhere, makes you feel good. Flat out, period. So again, the game is who can keep their amygdala calm while leveraging their frontal lobes, because they interplay with each other. Once you become too stressed, once you become too afraid or anxious, like this kicks in and takes over your frontal lobes. Thus, tilt, thus emotional dysregulation, thus poor performance. All right. I love this model. Okay, this is like Psych 101, but if you can apply this model to just you playing games or you just trying to regulate yourself, it's a fun way to conceptualize. Okay, so what I love about this model, it's the Yerkes-Dodson stress model, is that it shows perfectly how stress works. Okay, why I love it as a curve is in the middle, it shows you optimal quote unquote stress. Basically, remember the slides I showed you earlier about how stress makes you move? What I love about this stress model is that it emphasizes the need for stress. Because I feel like stress and anxiety gets a bad rap. Like everyone's trying to live a stress-free life or no anxiety, whatever. Listen, you need stress to move. If you had zero stress, this end. Oh, if you had zero stress, you'd be here. You're chilling. We're winning the game so hard. We're up. We have all resources. We have full eco. We are slamming these people. How engaged are you in that game? And this is where the 9-3 curse comes from. That's my working theory. But that's where you are here. No stress. So simple, right? On the other side, this is very high stress. So if this is stress and this is performance here, okay? So this is high stress or stress increasing and this is increasing performance. On this very other side here, this is like a 10 out of 10 stress, okay? This is you back against the wall, pistols. Look, it's a full buy into their team. And you're down, I don't know, last round or whatever, or this game is really, really close and you're stressing out because it's like quadruple overtime and you're trying to focus really hard and this is your 8th game in the row, okay? You're here. It's very hard for you to use the stress and leverage it because there's just too much of it, okay? There is a Goldilocks zone for stress and performance, and it's right here in the middle. You need some stress to move and focus, but not too much stress where it kills you, and not no stress where you're unmotivated. But right here in this nice little middle part is perfect amount of stress that helps you focus, lock in, do the things that you need to do. Okay? Now, even though that this is a nice little curve, this curve is different for everyone. Okay? So maybe your optimal could be over here. Maybe your optimal is over here. Maybe your optimal is down here. Maybe your optimal is over here. That's why there's different techniques for either decreasing or increasing your sense of stress. For example, breathing, an amazing strategy to decrease your stress. But if you're too chill, maybe I'm going to tell you to jump around and run some laps because you need an increased amount of stress. Okay? So again, this is just a model and everyone falls somewhere along this model. Okay? My favorite concept thus far is this right here. The zone of delusion. Okay? The zone of delusion, if you guys ever experienced it, is, especially as gamers, as high performers, if I just put more effort into whatever I'm doing, if I just put more focus into what I'm doing, if I just put more stress into what I'm doing, I would perform better. How many people thought that? I know I do. But what happens and why this is an illusion is because even if you were to try to increase the amount of stress or tension you're putting on yourself, you could lead yourself into this zone of burnout because you're putting extra effort, extra distractions into something else. I just need to try harder versus these are the things I need to try harder in. Absolutely. The Inner Game of Tennis is a goated book. OG book. Pick that shit up. It's great. All right, another concept that I want to talk about when it comes to stress and performance, especially with gamers, is the concept of pre-game jitters versus performance anxiety. Because typically what happens is when we experience stress, anxiety, or fear, we may experience the physical somaticization of it. Some of these things could look like jittery hands, shakiness in your body, maybe sweating, maybe boom, 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 your heart starts going. Maybe it could be racing thoughts, all these types of things. It could be, like, I don't know, chattering teeth even, Um, all these things are basically your adrenaline kicking in and giving you the physical, you're ready to GO, fight that tiger, right? That's what's happening. However, what happens though is that sometimes people, you like cognitively perceive that when I feel these things, that is my body shutting down. That is my body getting ready to freeze. That's my body getting ready to do something terrible. but really it is just your cognitive experience labeling your physical experience. Another example of this is when people drink high levels of caffeine or taurine, or like a Monster, or like their eighth Red Bull, or coffee, or even their stimulant medication, Ritalin, Adderall, whatever, especially if it's not yours. What might happen is you may experience the same symptoms, okay? The same symptoms. You may start shaking. You may start sweating. You may start, your heart may start beating faster. But what happens is people think, oh shit, that's me freaking out. Okay? It could be. Or at the same time, is that the drugs just working, baby? Is that just the Red Bull just coursing through your veins? But see, what often makes the physical somatic symptoms worse and what makes you perform worse is the interpretation of your brain. Fun fact on that one is, all right, if you have high anxiety or a panic disorder, question for the chat, what is the number one trigger of a panic attack if you've had one? We're thinking. Yeah. Why that's important is panic attacks typically are one of the scariest things that you can experience. Why? You breathe really hard. You feel like you're going to die. You cannot catch your breath. Like the world closes in on you. You feel like you're going to black out. So, one of the most scary experiences. So, oftentimes, people are afraid of having panic attacks. So, what triggers or what is the typical trigger of a panic attack? Triggers typically come from too much input. Okay. Okay. Some thoughts under certain circumstances. Okay. A lot of decisions having to happen at once. Okay. I like the chat's thinking. All stress related though. Okay. Fun fact. The number one trigger of a panic attack is the fear of having another panic attack. Okay, let's think about it. You've had a panic attack. You're freaking out, cannot breathe, on the floor, fetal position, rocking, world's closing out, right? You feel like you're going to die. As soon as you have that tight chest, as soon as you experience maybe your hand shaking, as soon as you experience some form of perceived panic, that is going to trigger your fear amygdala thought, oh my fucking God, it's happening again. And then you proceed to have a panic attack. It is the fear of that thing happening that makes that thing happen. It's a cognitive experience. Yes, in conjunction with the somatic one, because it is scary. At the same time, that is the number one trigger of panic attacks is the fear of having a panic attack. Okay? The reason I'm bringing this up here with jitters versus performance anxiety is typically it is a normal experience for gamers to have pre-game jitters. The no-ness, the physical symptoms of it. At the same time, we know that it's jitters because typically jitters go away as soon as we start playing and we're able to focus on the tasks in front of us. Okay? Performance anxiety is totally different where it persists. It's up here. This is where your amygdala kicks in, your parasympathetic, so everything starts freaking out, right? It's harder for you to manage versus is being a normal ramp up of performance. Okay? The reason I'm bringing this up now is because I want to make sure that you as gamers or you as players, when you're going to perform, that you do not confuse pre-game jitters for anxiety, death, fear, whatever. If I can normalize that behavior for you and move you away from pathology, you'll be able better to manage it, understand what is happening, when it's happening, and why it's happening, and not freak out. Okay? At the same time, it is important because you do need stress, combining this slide with this slide. You need stress to help you move, and it helps you perform. It doesn't always necessarily mean that if I experience stress or pregame jitters, that it's going to mean that I'm going to play poorly. All right. Now that we've talked about frontal lobes, now that we talked about amygdala, how do you think stress affects your sense of attention? Right? the thing that I want to make sure that we talk about, in this previous slide, I've played the video of like watching the monkey and the ball passing, that experiment. Have you guys seen it? If you guys want to see it, we can totally watch it again. It's one of my favorite videos. I'm down to watch it again. All right, is this one? Okay, this is the video. Okay.
The probability of me understanding this.
Let's fast forward. All right, I'll play it for you guys really quickly.
How many times the players wearing white pass the ball?
Okay, watch the video. We've played it before, but it's great. Okay, classic experiment, classico. All right. Remember, white people bouncing the ball. White shirts. Oh. Can you not see it? Oh god. Can we not see it? Okay, okay. My bad. I'm watching my recording. Lols. Okay, hold on. Alright.
Today we're gonna play a game.
Hold on, let me switch it and you guys can see it, okay? I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. There you go. Can you see it? Meow. Can you see it? Alright, all good. Alright. Let's watch it together. One of my favorite videos.
Specifically designed to test your spatial awareness.
Okay.
Meet the Brain Games Double Dutch.
Alright. Amazing. Side note, have you ever tried to do this? It's so hard, bro. Or another challenge is just jump rope for like 5 minutes and see how you feel.
Double Dutch requires off-the-chart spatial awareness. And today, these kids are going to help us test yours. For this game, all you have to do is keep track of the number of times that either of the girls in green jumps.
Alright, girls in green.
Like this.
Count.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I just noticed that their shoes match their shirt. That's amazing.
Pretty quick on their feet, so you're going to have to pay attention to keep up. When the whistle blows, start counting.
Alright, you got it, right? Girls in green, count. Uh-huh. You got it? Dude, I'm just tired watching them. Holy shit. Yay! Okay. Anyone got the count?
How many jumps did the green team make?
Green team count? You got it?
If so, you agree with the 40%.
4. There you go.
Now, some of you may be onto this, but for those of you who aren't, did you happen to notice anything else going on?
Anyone see anything weird?
Maybe a giant chicken?
Anyone see the giant chicken?
And doing a funky
If so, you've seen this experiment before. Usually it's a gorilla.
Some of you may have missed that funky chicken, but many of you probably saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, because the chicken was just there to distract.
Gotcha! Just a distraction.
What color was the wall behind the double Dutch game?
Wall color. That was a true test, boys and girls. What color was it?
Here's a hint. It wasn't the same color at the end as it was when they started jumping. The back
Ooh.
wall was changing color the entire time, from bright blue to bright red.
Not fair, I'm colorblind, lol. Alright. Alright, that's so funny. Okay, now let's change it back. That's so funny. Unlucky. Alright. Okay. So. Alright, so the reason why I wanted to play you that video, and looks like we got some colorblind friends out there making connections. That's what these talks are all about. The reason why I wanted to play that video for you is because that's exactly what stress does to attention. Okay, I want you to imagine like you're driving a car. Okay, we're driving a car, and for us Americans, we're driving at 35 miles an hour, pretty slow. Okay, what do you think your field of vision is? How much can you see? And if something were to happen, how fast could you turn? Probably really fast, right? If a ball bounces out, you probably turn really fast or really fast. You probably turn, avoid it, and you probably look around, maybe even look at your phone. Not supposed to, but you could because you're moving really slowly, right? Now imagine the same car you're driving. What would your field of vision be if you're going 100 miles an hour? Really fast, right? Could you turn quickly, as fast as you could do when you're doing it at 35 miles an hour? Probably not. You'd probably crash up. It'd probably be really bad. It'd probably be a really sharp turn, right? How about your field of vision? Would your field of vision still be just as wide as going 30 miles an hour? Or could you look at your phone or be a little bit distracted? Probably not. Why? Because you're going so fast, all you really see is this tunnel, right? That's exactly what stress does to your attention, okay? The less stress, anxiety, fear you have, the more field of vision you have to be creative, to think about things, to consider things. However, as soon as your stress increases, your mind ramps up and your attention starts tunneling. Okay? People often think that, like, oh, my attention is like omnipotent. I can see and attend to everything in my mind. But really, I want you to think about your attention like a spotlight, okay? Or like a flashlight or whatever. Like if the room's all dark and you put your flashlight on the wall, you see like pook, this much of the wall, right? And this in the middle is probably really, really like focused, but on the edges gets a little fuzzy, right? Okay, that's how your attention works. You have to imagine now that the person controlling the spotlight sometimes wants to look at other things that may or may not be as important, but the longer the person uses the spotlight, they're only getting paid by the hour, maybe they don't get water or whatever. Now their attention seems to drift to other types of things, right? So fatigue affects your attention, stress affects your attention. All right, so I just want you to imagine that attention isn't something you can use and see everything all at once. It's just some things at a time. Okay? Uh-oh, where did my slideshow go? My bad. My bad, hold on. Okay, where was I? Here. All right, we back. Can y'all see that? Nope, cannot. Hold on. Technical difficulties. All right, and we back. And we back. All right. Okay. The reason I want to bring that up is because look at this screen. This moment. All right. Look at the mini map. Look where people are. Again, they can't see this, but just for you, look what you're dealing with here just on this screen. You're dealing with a mini map here. You're dealing with bullets here. You're dealing with where they could be here. You're dealing with what utility do I have? You have a bomb planted here, and you're dealing with a deek, deek, deek. So many things in your mind is taking so much attention, raising your decision-making process or the things that you're trying to consider, taking resources to allocate and energy to allocate to all these things, right? And then try to multiply this by how many games you've played, how many rounds you've played, and the seriousness or what's on the line when you play these games, right? Just like the chicken in the background, right? This could be all right, on my screen, I'm counting how many times the people in green jumped. But after that, I'm still subconsciously looking for the chicken, which is where they could be. But the entire time, the entire game was how am I going to defuse the bomb? What color was the background? And it's changing. So just think about how your resources are getting allocated to what is happening on the map. And that's why I'm saying, like, your attention is limited, especially when put under stress, especially when put under anxiety or fear, all these kinds of things. So really, again, it is a frontal lobe management game. Right? So what importantly from here, the thing I want to ask you is, like, when you're stressed out, what do you tend to focus on? Because if in the past, like from those previous slides, if you're focusing on all the things that could go wrong, think about what you're not focused on. If you're thinking about all the oh no's, coulda, woulda, shouldas, guess what you're focused on? And guess what you're not focused on? Okay? That's the most interesting thing, because you can't hold both at once. You really can only focus on one or the other. And the more you focus on one, it takes attention and resources away from the other. It all takes energy. And the best thing that I want you to take away from this is just because you're focused in the past or you're focused on the things that went wrong, that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that you're screwed and you're cooked and that's all you can do. It is a skill that you can do to catch yourself, to refocus on the things that you want to focus on into the future. Okay, let's think about it cognitively. When you think about common diagnoses as a clinical psychologist, right? You have what? Anxiety and depression, right? Okay, with anxiety and depression, think about where depression is centered. Is it centered in the future or in the past? And then if you have anxiety, is that in the past or in the future? But when you think about anxiety is depression, depression is the past, and anxiety is the future. But when you think about perfect esports or even living, it's right here in the present, right? So the game is, how can I balance where I'm thinking? Because you need a balance of both future-oriented thinking and past-oriented thinking. I would say about maybe a minute into the past to a minute and a half into the future. Some small window like that. And the goal is to, how can I be more present? And these are skills that you can learn by regulating your stress, or at least being aware of where you are when you get stressed out. Okay. So the real game here, in any game that you play, is say, okay, how can I acknowledge this is where I am and this is what I'm feeling, and accept that I may feel this way, or I may be thinking about these things, and can I do the thing I want anyway? I feel anxious. I feel worried. And can I do it anyway? Can I refocus on what I want to do? I feel depressed and sad that I died here at Minnesmake. Okay, I feel this way. I accept it. And can I do it anyway? The reason why it's important that we accept it is because when we fight the feeling of, man, that's so dumb, I don't want to think about that thing, it's kind of like holding in a sneeze or laughing at a funeral, where if you really focus on just holding that sneeze, all you can think of, man, I gotta sneeze. Or if you're trying to not laugh at the funeral, like, oh my God, that joke's so funny, but I can't laugh, and I just don't laugh. You're thinking about it all the time. Versus, yes, I'm thinking that thought. Okay, I acknowledge that thought. It's here. I accept it. Okay, now that I accept that thought, how can I move on to the next one? Okay. From a different perspective, what you get anxious or stressed or afraid of, that is your favorite thought. And if that's your favorite thought, why is it your favorite thought? And then how can we catch ourselves thinking that thought and shift it to something else that's more helpful for you? All right. So you can actually use this to help you find your own limits of your mindsets, of your beliefs, of where you get stuck. Okay. And the best way I think that you can find your limits is listening to your negative self-talk. When you die, when you make a mistake, when something terrible happens, what do you tell yourself insta? What is that? Oh, my teammates suck. Oh, I should have known. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. Like, what is a thing that you tell yourself? Because that first insta thought is where your anger, upsetness, focus is. Okay. Secondly, when you begin to shut down or get upset or overwhelmed, what do you typically do? Do you reach for your phone? Do you control tab? Do you look on Instagram or something? Like, what do you do? Do you just and you just like don't want to play anymore? Like, what are these things that you do that show you that you've hit your limit? Maybe your frontal lobes are shutting down. Maybe it's time for you to take a break. What are the things that you do that make you avoid the acceptance, avoid the things that you could be doing to get better? Okay? And here's the thing. Yes, there is a theory that there is no weaknesses. Instead, our weaknesses come from overusing our strengths. Okay? Imagine that you're going to the gym and, or just think of a gym, and we all know that guy that's all upper body and just have these little chicken legs, right? You know that guy. And you don't know his cousin, the guy that's all legs and upper body. That guy doesn't exist. But that dude that is all upper body and no legs, in fact, if he was going to do a leg press, he's now shoulder pressing it, right? Like, that in itself is overusing his strength, where now everything becomes a arm exercise. Okay? So for you, are you overusing your strengths? Are you playing too many games? Are you beating yourself up because you're trying to force yourself to have more effort? Like, what are the things that you're doing or really, really good at, but because you're really, really good at, that's all that you've been doing to try to push yourself forward, to help regulate yourself? Maybe you're just doing it too much. And maybe we should do some leg day. All right. When you do these types of things, What are some of the like self-handicapping behaviors when you're tilted or you're too stressed out? Do you just run it down? Do you overpeak? Is it ego challenging? Like, what do you do that you know, man, if I just didn't do this thing, I probably would play better. Are you playing too many games or whatever? Or at the same time, what are those cognitive things that you're telling yourself? I always lose these things. I never win. Oh my God, it's 9-3. That's the curse. We're going to lose. Other things is like, all right, what are some of those fixed mindsets that you may have about climbing, about yourself, about improvement? And then another way to find it is, what are your black and white thinking? The always, the nevers, the things that you get stuck in, right? These are some of the tricks that your mind uses when you become overly stressed, because when you think about these things, they actually help conserve cognitive resources. Think of black and white thinking, for example. Think of any children's story. It's the perfect example of black and white thinking. There's always a good guy, 100% good. And there's always an evil bad guy, right? No matter what, always evil. And then at the end, what happens? They live happily ever after. But as soon as you get older, we have other characters. We have anti-heroes that do good things in bad ways. We have complexity of characters to see ins, out, and the reasons of why they do these things. But why are they not children's stories? Because they require higher orders levels of thinking to consider other factors of why people do things. I love if everything was super easy and black and white. But you can tell the difference of thinking of like an iron gold player who says, you should always do this. This is never good. And when you get up into like Immortal Radiant, you're hearing people say, well, it depends. Why? That's a shift in higher order level of thinking where you don't need the structure of always and never. And instead, you need the context to judge or make a decision on what is good and bad in that situation. But that takes more thinking that gets shut down when you're stressed. All right. So we hit the post test, right? Or another ending for you to think about where we went, okay? So on a scale of afraid to fail or afraid to succeed, because this is what holds people back, right? Are you afraid of failing? That's like a 1. You know, for example, I play this game, I play so much, but if I don't rank up or I don't win this thing, then I'll have nothing to show for it. I wasted all my time. Or B, or like 10, right? So 1 is that. 10 is like, all right, I'm afraid to succeed. If I hit this rank, that means I have to maintain this rank. If I become a champion, that means I have to become a champion again and again and again. Like, where is your fear? Where is it centered? And how does it affect you? Because you might think, wow, it's really weird. Why would I be afraid to succeed? Because that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to become the champion and remain the champion. In fact, that's why we have underdog mindsets where even if I'm the champion, I still want to think I have to defend this house. I have to, you know, trick myself in believing that I still am an underdog because it's more anxiety provoking because the expectation of being a champion and remaining a champion is so much higher. And also people want you to fail. Case in point, Vitality in CS2 and a Dynasty. So just for your insight, where are you in this sphere? Okay. So this is my last slide. Thank you for, you know, coming. The last thing I really want you to resonate or reflect on or think about is when you are stressed out, when you are anxious, when you are afraid, what, where, why, and how are you focused on? How does how's your brain trick you? Where do you get stuck? And then from there, how can you accept that fear and then move to a place that's more helpful for you? Understanding that there is a cognitive root to what you're experiencing. You're using your amygdala instead of your frontal lobes. How can we engage your frontal lobes again? Okay, how can we play the cognitive resource regulation game, which is why we emphasize drinking water, resting, touching grass, all these things to help your physical structures recover from the stress. Okay, how can we help regulate your attention to focus on the things you want to versus getting distracted on the things that you like thinking about, right? All right, friends. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for coming and talking. If you guys got questions, I'll take them now. But shout out to Casey and Neuroptima and Julian. Thanks for letting me come and hang out and talk stories. Yeah, questions, comments, concerns? Aw, stop. That's you. That's you. I am just cosplaying right now, and I'm fueled by coffee. Brought to you by caffeine and, what's your face? I'm forgetting to think. Creatine, baby. Fueled by passion. Passion for gaming. And for you guys, too. Alright, well, if there's no questions, thank you for letting me, just talk. So much. If you guys want to hook up with me later, please feel free to send me a DM, or friend request, or follow me on YouTube, or TikTok, or whatever. And I'll see you guys later. Shout out to Casey. Shout out to Neuroptima. Thanks for letting me come. And I hope you guys stay safe and win your games. Pieces, friends. Bye.